PIN management. Step 1. To reset your PIN, log into iConnect while on the dashboard, then go to Service Request. Step 2. Click on Sub-Siri PIN Management. Then choose either SMS or email option, then send OTP. Step 3. Once you receive the OTP, input it on the tab provided. Step 4. Submit the OTP and the process is successful. PIN management. Step 1. To reset your PIN, log into iConnect while on the dashboard, then go to Service Request. Step 2. Click on Sub-Siri PIN Management. Then choose either SMS or email option, then send OTP. Step 3. Once you receive the OTP, input it on the tab provided. Step 4. Submit the OTP and the process is successful.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we now have a good quorum. Thank you for honoring the call members. Let me see, people are joining us from here. We have nice. We have people from Finland. We have Thika here in Nairobi. We have Karura, Westlands. We have Dubai. We have, okay, this one is a bit, we have Westlands, Nairobi, Gatundu South. Karibu sana, karibu sana. Our today's session is very interesting, and we are closing the year in style. This is our last webinar for the year 2023. For those who have joined us, thank you very much. And for those who have been joining the webinars since January, I believe you're well equipped. You have much information about Safaricom Sacco, our products and services. We've also been doing financial wellness to members. We've been doing to non-loanees. Thank you very much for those of you who have been honoring the call to join our sessions. These sessions are usually very important. You get to understand what Safaricom Sacco is all about, what Safaricom Sacco is doing, new updates on products and services, the reviews, so much that you need to have or you need to know as a member of Safaricom Sacco. So this afternoon, we are joined by Alex from Moran Capital, and Alex is coming in with a wealth of professional in financial wellness and anything to do with wealth, finance. He's an expert in that area. I will introduce him. I will allow him to introduce himself briefly, then take us through today's session, which is about financial wellness. Therefore, members, this session we decided to have it today so that we close the year in style, and we look into the various objectives that we have for the year 2024, so that come January we'll be well aligned. Our objectives will be well aligned. Our financial our goals will be well aligned, and as we go into the year 2024, we have so much lined up to you. Moran Capital will be have a plan for us for the whole year, the year 2024. So stay tuned and be alert on the notifications that we'll be sending your way to join the sessions. They'll be very informative, and I believe will be empowering you more as we get into the year. So thank you very much, Alex. I'll give you the opportunity to take it over.
Okay. Maybe you could allow me to just have my video on, and I could. Hi, if you could allow me to have my video on, I think
Yes, yes. Just a minute.
Thank you. Right. Yes. Hello, everyone. As you've heard, my name is Alex Rorie, and I'm the CEO of Moran Capital. And we are a family office. I think I'll define that in just a bit. And we are very happy to obviously join this call this afternoon. It's a great opportunity to be invited to share something that we are passionate about, and we have the ability to lead a lot of people through. It's our pleasure to have been invited by the team at the Safaricom Sacco to share. And I'm hoping what we share today, as we have shared with many of our clients, will be impactful. I'm sure everybody wishes for a day that they could hear some information that can give you something that you can say from this day. I had a change in my life, and this is one of those that we hope it's that day. If you can reflect back to an impactful day in your life, I really do pray it's this year. And we, as Moran, have every joy in joining the Sacco team in bringing this conversation to you. And why? Because obviously we have ourselves. Let me talk about myself as Alex. I have a family Sacco, which I've been involved in, and I've seen the impact that it has had on the family, meaning that anybody in the family would be able to be educated, would be able to build a house, would be able to really take advantage and not suffer the poverty that an otherwise lack of access to financial resources would cause an individual. But also, teaching around the discipline that it takes to manage the resources. And we accept that it's not everybody who really knows how to manage money. We could know how to make money, but managing it is another story. So we are happy to be involved in this space, to be able to share and to have the conversation on that specific element, which is financial wellness. So without taking too much time, I will just dive into the fact that we are happy to work with Safaricom Sacco, and who are we as Moran? Moran is a family office, but we are licensed as a wealth management firm by both the Institute of Certified Investment Financial Analysts, ICFA, as well as we also have a license from the IRA, Insurance Regulatory Authority. And we began our services in 2011, partnering with various institutions so that we can review who's best in the market locally and internationally, and offer that service to executives, trustees, and investment committees to have a depth of knowledge on that space. And our service is a best-in-class service, which encompasses, comprehensive and complex decision-making, and trying to make it simple to allow people to protect their wealth and grow sustainably for their generations. So that's really what we do. We try to break down complex issues to be simple and palatable to the majority. Our areas of expertise would be in investment advisory, wealth management, private equity, and the difference between those really is a thin line in terms of some are action-oriented. You just want to do advisory, and I want to know where can I place some investments. Wealth management is a whole suite of how we build a proper portfolio around you and protect your family. Private equity really is buying positions in private companies, so not listed on the stock exchange. We also do stock trading. That means buying and selling of shares. We do risk management, reducing possibilities of wealth disappearing. Retirement planning, something that most people don't have in their view immediately. They think it's too far off, but you need to start the journey very early. As well as private banking, where we have people with multiple banking relationships around the world and multiple businesses. And we simplify it to one relationship, making your operations easier. We also provide real estate advisory. We do succession planning. You know, if you build a very good business or you build good assets, and then you don't have succession, you don't have an heir, you don't have proper ways in which you're growing, who will take over the management or ownership of those assets. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 billion times 0 succession is 0. You see this a lot. Despite how much success you build, you know how to plan it to the next generation, which is different from estate planning, which is saying who will be left with the assets and in which form and share will they be left with. And we also do tax planning as well as financial training, as we are doing today. And we are happy to partner in these areas with individuals and corporates so that we can secure their assets. Why do our clients choose us? Of course, we have some expertise in that place. We offer thought leadership in terms of directing people, vision mapping, looking at your vision and drawing a proper map towards it. And that is, you know, very necessary. We have accumulated and proven experience in that space. We manage maybe about 1,500 high net worth individuals. We offer that personalized service. When you walk in the door, you should not be considered like everybody else. We should listen to you as a customized individual looking for customized plans. So we do that a lot. We are independent, so we don't manage our own products. We review a myriad of products, very many products in the market, to make sure which ones will best suit you, depending on your financial circumstances, your goals, and that kind of thing. And we are able to look at which one will best suit you, so that we are not saying you are like the last person. We're saying what will align with your personal goals. We look at a flexible product range. There are people who can afford a huge outlay. Others can afford monthly outlays. How do you fit in? How do we make sure we've structured you very well, depending on your circumstances? We look at giving strong returns, and we are very careful about looking at how those work within your risk profile as well as your objectives. So maybe you have a very big goal you want to achieve. Maybe you'll take on a bit more risk, but then you need to be educated. What is that risk that you're taking, and how do we protect you against other issues? Because under pressure, people make some bad decisions, and we've got to make sure that you keep on the rails to achieve your objective. And of course, our clients are very sure that we are very clear that security of funds is very important and a key objective. So those are some of the reasons our clients choose us, and maybe it's important. That's our board. These are people who have had years of experience and leadership in this market. I've been in banking, investment banking, fund management, insurance, managed large pension funds and large real estate projects. We also have people who are in leadership in very serious areas in audit and governance. So we have a proper team and even an internal team to help our clients with our customer service and various areas, to work with our clients on a day-to-day, to make sure that even when you plan for your financial wellness, there is somebody who's able to look at your circumstances beyond when you said you would do them. So we have to have a team that makes sure we keep the ball rolling beyond when your effort and the decision in January to set goals set in, but by March you're like, I have no time to keep up with this thing. You always need somebody to help you keep up the pace to ensure that you can achieve the goals. And it's true, not everybody has the character to do that. So we have a team that helps you do that. Now, today we are talking about financial wellness. And what is this wellness? Now, wellness is a very broad topic. There are very many things we could talk about wellness. I am personally, a family coach as well. So there are very many things we can talk about wellness. And some people don't know they exist. There are other forms of wellness that are still afforded by money, but there are other forms. Today, we will specifically talk about financial wellness, but I would like to highlight that there is also spiritual wellness, basically to bring somebody into balance. There is your emotional wellness, having your psychological and intellectual side in balance. You also have physical wellness, which I think most people relate to in terms of your health. You also have your social wellness. How good is your team that looks after you in that kind of space? How do you relate with people? How are you brought up? How is your family of origin and those kind of things? All these add up to your wellness. And then there's your environmental wellness, making sure that the climate within you operate, you are in synchronism with it, and you're in harmony. But today we are talking about financial wellness specifically, and this is a topic obviously we understand all too well. And it basically relates to your current and future financial obligations, how you are in balance with those issues, how the current situation fits in with the future, and how you feel in balance. Do you feel secure about your financial future? And are you making the choices that will allow you to enjoy life now as well as in the future? So that, some people feel that if you talk about financial wellness, it means take away the today and live for tomorrow. No, there's no guarantee for tomorrow. So when you must have fun now. So in whichever country you are in, of course, there's a lot of promotion of happiness and those kind of things. Those are important. But happy today must also meet happy tomorrow. And that is the way you have a balance. So financial wellness is ensuring that there is happy today and there is happy tomorrow. And there is a balance, because that is important. Today is also important, and tomorrow will be important. So, just knowing what financial wellness is helps you also have a reduced preoccupation with money needs and improving your mental and physical well-being. There are a lot of people who will completely obliterate their health, work, and not taking care of their health. So financial wellness is having a good understanding of how the reality of tomorrow will still happen if you have a proper balance. Now, why is that important? For me, I don't live for myself. And I'm sure this picture will resonate with everybody. On the left at the top is my family. This is me. I keep saying, my pastor says, you have to share your personal story. So I am a father. I have 4 lovely children, married, and I care about these people. That's my children there. Then I have obviously my wife there. We have to celebrate. I have my extended family who I am responsible for taking for holidays and organizing and taking care of their insurance. I have parents. I have to take care of their medical and those kind of scenarios, their trips, their holidays. We have to come together and we have to do these things, because this is my social side. At the bottom left there, you see, we also have to be aware that some of us will leave, and we have to make sure there is a balance in how these assets will be managed, how the relationship, the emotions will be managed, who gets to take management when these parents leave. There are things about estate planning, wills, all those kind of things. Sometimes we don't want to think about it, but it's real. It really happens. And that is my family. That is a primary area that drives my wellness. And the question is, what are you doing in all these areas to ensure that you have wellness, so that when you are feeling stressed, it tends to be one of these areas. Is it from home? Is it maybe even from work? Is it from your social space? Is it church? But your financial wellness balances your primary area, which is within the family space. And what kind of mistakes do we do that make us have, out of wellness, out of balance? Essentially, not taking control of your money. Now, not taking control of your money is a very wide statement, but you find that people have no clear vision of what do they want. A lot of people who come to us, when I ask them what is their 5-year goal, it's like, answering the CV question in the with the employer. What do you want to be in the company in the next 5 years? Everybody has an idea. I want to be the CEO. I want to be this. But in your personal money journey, in your family journey, where will you be 5 years from now? Will you be building your house? Will you be going to school? Will you be traveling? Will you be having children? Which school will they be going to? Those kind of questions people don't ask themselves. So they don't have a clear vision of themselves after 5 years, after 10 years. They just know I will have children and this kind of thing. So you're always under pressure because you don't see that future. And you need to be able to see that future and write it down and have that vision, and then we can map that vision so that if you're working with partners like the SACCO, you know where they fit in. I will work with the SACCO because in the future I will do my education, my housing. It's not just emergencies of right now. I need to do things right now. There is also, then what do I do in the future? I remember, my father-in-law, when he was handing me over the responsibility of managing his most adored princess. He laid it down to me, Alex, you're in charge of the groceries, the children, the house, the car, the education. Hey, and I said, my guy, where is the script for how I'll achieve all these things? And suddenly it occurred to me, I need a vision and I need to describe exactly how this vision will be achieved. And my wife being a finance professional, an actuary, obviously you asked me very deep questions and I had to really figure things out. And luckily we were able to achieve a lot of the things before time because we were able to create a vision and work around it. So you need to have that vision. You can work with the SACCO, you can work with us, we can help you build that strategy towards your vision of, okay, so how much do I need to earn? 200,000, 100,000, a million, 5, 10 million shillings. What's your vision? Where do you want to be? Sometimes it's not the actual work that is the problem. It's the vision of where you want the work to get you. We can help you with part of the work. The SACCO is there. Resources are there in banks to help you achieve all these things. But you have a vision, and that tends to be the problem. Maybe you didn't have a clear vision. And then living beyond your means because all the goals are placed in the short term is a problem that encompasses a lot of people. I want to achieve the car, the house, the screen, the education, all these things at the same time. You're going to die of stress. So work within your means. I can start with a smaller house, but I'll end up in you arrive dead. So you'll work and you'll arrive dead. And how does that happen? You are in excess debt because you want everything now. You commit your income to upgrade lifestyle instead of investing in your own goals. You are upgrading lifestyle too fast. You realize that your income growth is not tied to your performance. Yeah. So you are, because debt is available, you take it, and it's not your growth is not related to your own performance. You're getting other resources externally as compared to your own effort. So that is an issue which will catch up with you later, and you'll be firefighting a lot. You also have procrastination because you find, hey, I've got quick access to money, so I don't need to really do the complex things. So you sit down and you are enjoying life, but those things will catch up with you. And you find people with wrong internal beliefs. I will not succeed. I came from a family that, we've not achieved much. Okay, fine. Maybe you didn't have the ideas. Work with people who have ideas. They are not under that curse or problem, and they will help you achieve it. So if you have the wrong internal beliefs, because maybe you think culture or otherwise, or where I live and I have a glass ceiling over my head, then work with somebody who doesn't feel they have those issues. They will help you achieve what you want to do. And overcommitting and feeling you're in the rat race and moving to the better and, all these neighborhoods, it's something that you don't have your own plan. And you have this short-term orientation. I must do it now. Like, one of my employers once told me in UAP, a very good gentleman said, Alex, start with a Vitz, because then a Vitz replacing the wheels are not expensive as replacing the wheels of a Range Rover. So at least you'll have understood how to manage that space. Don't start with a big mistake. Start with a small mistake. And it helped me a lot think, okay, fine. Before I, make a big mistake, let me start with a small mistake and learn from it, because learning, you shall certainly learn. So don't be in other people's plans, and don't have too much house or car or school. Work within your means, because also opportunity is granted to. So you don't have to start by sweating so hard. So how does this financial wellness work? We've looked at 3 key areas or so, and maybe this is one of those foundations that you find in psychology. You find people have constant firefighting, but not knowing what the issue is. You could be working with your partner. Okay, I see Tai has raised her hand. Do you want to share something? Maybe type on the chat. It will be good if you can type on the chat. We can pick up with you. We have a team that will manage the questions. So I'm hoping it's not the speed. Maybe I could have a response on the chat. I'll be able to take up your question. Okay, I'll look at the questions, and we'll definitely have a Q&A, by the way, so that we are able to address the issues that will come up shortly. Right. Okay, so I was saying financial wellness obviously is an issue of, are you prepared for emergencies? And preparation is not just, are you aware, but have you aligned the assets that would be required in case of an emergency? So you saw what happened, and I will share around issues which you probably will relate to. We've seen issues that have come up over the last few years, and you find, do you have the capacity to deal with issues that could derail your plans? Have you planned for a circumstance in which your plans could be derailed? Okay, thank you very much. So could you find yourself out of congruence because of circumstances beyond yourself? A lot of us plan like, I should be so hardworking such that I will never find I am in problems. But do you know that you could find other circumstances that can derail yourself? And we're going to talk about that. Have you planned for long-term goals? Because the longer you take to make those decisions, the more expensive it will be. We look at that. If you start planning for a purchase of a house when it's too close, the kids have grown, and suddenly you need to move, then you need to take a mortgage quickly. But had you realized you need to do this a while, then you'd have been saving and been able to reduce the cost. And then maybe you just need to take the down payment or the final payment to be able to pay off for your house. How have you planned those long-term goals? What is your flexibility around that for education, home ownership? You know, if you're going to take your child to international school, it's going to cost at least 30 million shillings to take them just to finish the first degree. So have you planned for those kind of things? Or, you know, you're just in there and seeing how things translate? How do you reduce debt between the various forms of debt that we will be discussing over the course of this course? We'll be discussing how do I reduce the interest rates I am paying, the pressure I get, how do I get free from those things? So these are the things that constitute financial wellness, planning for your retirement. And we'll discuss these things in detail. What does planning for retirement entail? I want to go on holiday. How many times a year? When do you think you'll retire? How much should you have? How much do you have now? Where should you invest? Should you do the option into now the new class of pension that has just come up? Should you stay in the NSSF? What kind of pension contributions are you making? Will they get you to your goal? So achieving that wellness, you know, you must have goals that allow you to have control of your current choices. It must mean something to you so that you're able to make the right decisions. You must look at the generational impact. After all this, am I going to be depending on my kids as my retirement, or will I hand something over to them? Will I hand liability to them? What will I hand over to the next generation? And have I trained them to manage themselves, or they will also be a dependent when I am in retirement and I also don't probably have an income? Who is going to shoulder who? And all these things affect your overall well-being. And, as I said, up there are various elements, your psychological, your emotional, your spiritual, your physical, all these areas, you have to have a sense of fulfillment. Are you in a space where you are in control of all these issues? Now, why we talk about this? Of course, Africa is growing, and it's growing at a very fast pace. We have a lot of resources in the world. We have a young and growing population, so there's a lot of opportunity around the world. There is strong fundamentals. But what happens is that we find at the bottom here, despite all this technological change, despite all the knowledge, despite the growing workforce, only 1% of the global wealth is attributed to individuals in Africa. That means there's something wrong with how we manage wealth, how we plan ourselves. And that is why we are a stressed bunch, despite our resilience to a few issues, such as COVID. Africa was very resilient as compared to the expectations on a health basis. But on a financial basis, it was a crisis, which we are still carrying today. You can see what's going on because businesses were shut, people lost jobs. There was a major, major impact on Africa. But it's also because we don't know what happens and how it impacts us. Crisis, as you see today with Israel and Hamas and the issue that's going there, as was Russia and Ukraine, as was COVID, has been happening over the last 100 years and more. So when you find that sometimes you are stressed, is because there are issues happening outside your control that are impacting you. How have you basically protected yourself, your loved ones, to make sure that you will be able to resist the drama that comes from crisis, which is now not internal to you in terms of budgeting, but in terms of understanding how all these other factors can affect you? This is very important, and it is factors we are going to discuss in depth during the 10 weeks that we are going to be with you, looking at how should I protect myself? How do I work with the SACCO to make sure, is SACCO my emergency? Is it my plan for housing? How do I negotiate in the event that I find myself in a crisis so that we can have a good relationship with both the providers of credit, with my family, so that I'm not having stress because we have a lot of people chasing us for resources that now that I don't have a job, I can't afford. So how do we manage this? By spreading the necessary goals into a long-term strategy, but also managing the short-term circumstances by, ordering our behavior in terms of the expenditure we want, setting our own plan. I don't care what everybody else does. They may do what they want to do, but I have what is my own character and what I want to achieve. So those components of financial wellness that we're going to talk about regarding budgeting, debt management, we are going to talk intensely about that space so that you are working very well with the SACCO in terms of looking at them as an opportunity to leverage yourself. Not having just consumption debt, but investment opportunities that can come from the SACCO are very important for you to understand. The interest rates and those kind of things, how they affect you, and therefore looking at whichever opportunity I'm pursuing, what value should I ensure I am adding so that my relationship with the SACCO, with my family is enhanced by whatever I am doing. And the ones that I don't need in the group, how do I exit or manage them? That's very important. We look at the where opportunities exist, having the knowledge to invest in the encyclopedia. So that book, and show you how to invest wisely around some very key factors, as well as just having your emergency preparedness. We'll look at how much is emergency supposed to be. There are guys who live on emergency, they make investment decisions the world will come to an end. But hey, you know, you have the circle, you have a good relationship. So if you have been able to right. Okay. I suspect we are back. Yeah, I was talking about the skills we need. I hope we are back on.
Yes, we are on, but you're breaking a bit.
The skills you need to manage your finances, how you set your goal. That is, I hope and trust we are just some respond like.
Yeah,
Okay,
Alex,
shortly, but look at what you need to do effectively. You know, I was once because thankfully I had my insurance and all those elements around retirement and that kind of space. We got, you know, the strategy for you to be clear. There are people who are trying to achieve a lot. When I grow, I want to live in Runda, I want to do all these things. You get there, but we'll help you understand how to get there and how to make sure that you are holding your resources in a proper in proper structure, so that, you know, we are able to ensure that you can see how the future will translate without you know, without a lot of pressure. We also look at you know, those strategies there, mind that you'll achieve what you need to achieve. We look at, you know, how you manage your operations, your budget. How do you manage it? So that I see how much should I leave off? What is the basis of creating a budget to make sure I can manage impulse purchases? How do I plan to make sure this happens? Issues around, you know, having charity, what we call the Samaritan funds and those kind of things. Which apps can you use to track your expenditure so that you can create a proper budget and, you know, not just guessing how much you spend, but being sure how much you spend so that we can plan properly, and having a review, money dates to be able to manage that expenditure is very, very important, because we always ask how many of us have a surplus at the end of the month. A lot of our clients are surprised eventually to find that, hey, you know, I have money which I never knew where it used to go. Suddenly it has shown up. Where has it shown up from? Really, it's because we are able to order that space. We look at strategies for investment, and we look at, you know, the target savings, tax. How do I take tax advantage savings? How do I monitor the returns? How do I make sure that investments I get into are well structured? So you must have all this knowledge for purposes of your financial wealth. And we'll do this over the next few weeks and take you through the process. We'll help you understand that process of being aware of yourself, setting goals, budgeting, debt management. How do I do that? Looking at your savings, what ratios should I get into? All those kind of mixes. We are going to take you through that, because financial wellness is being in total control of your resources, knowing very well that opportunity is there, and be sure opportunity is there, but you need to control how you are running your expenditure, and also your relationship with your family and everyone is in congruence, because you have been able to put this in a detailed action plan and you've communicated it with those who are near and dear or who you care about. A lot of people, and thankfully I've seen a question there, how do you, you know, in terms of relationship, one of the greatest challenges is if you don't have a plan, it is very hard to be seen as somebody who should be trusted. There you go. Boom. There it is. If you don't have a plan, nobody will trust you. If you've not written down how it works and you insist, no, listen to me and this kind of things, I shouldn't listen to you. Put it down, write it. Let us argue it out like grown-ups. and then tell me where the mistakes are, and we agree on it. And that saves a lot of people, other than, you know, the usual banter of, you know, maybe I'm older than you, I'm more educated. It doesn't work that way. What works is put a detailed plan. Let's check it out with rigor, and then we agree how to execute. And we will help you on that. It will include your retirement planning strategy, your estate planning, and you have regular reviews so that you can see, where am I working with the circle? What am I doing elsewhere? How is this working? All that information, we find a lot of people don't have it in 1 page or 2 pages. And for that reason, you are being fired at by marketers and everyone from left, right, center. And you cannot keep your boat facing the true north. You are moving like a clock. At this time, I am making this decision. This other time, I'm making this decision. Wellness is being able to set the boat in one trajectory. And if we are going to adjust, we are all agreed why we are adjusting into the new direction. So those are the few minutes I have to introduce this topic on your financial wellness. But the opportunity will be there to have a lot of discussions in depth on all these things and opportunities, as well as to sit down and see, how do you leverage yourself to be the best person that you want to be. So that is what we had for you today. Our team will be at hand to have these conversations, and we'll be very glad to ensure that we've gotten you through very delicate and deliberate steps to where you want to be at hand with the circle, to make sure that you would be able to use the resources which are at your fingertips to be able to get yourself to where you want to be. So thanks a lot to the team and the management for allowing us to have this introduction. And I hope it was valuable for those who have really taken your time to come and listen to us this afternoon. So back to the team, and let us handle the questions. I see there's some issues, but maybe we'll be guided now on just how to do our Q&A. And yeah, I'll be happy to take any questions as I can see here.
Well, thank you, Alex, for such a very informative session. And members, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. This is just an introduction, so you can imagine what is lined up for us in the year 2024. Don't miss any of the sessions, because we'll be going step by step as per the introduction today. And from today's session, we've been able to learn that we must put it down on paper. So we are going to walk this journey together, Alex, throughout the year 2024. We are putting everything down on paper today. Yeah. So that as we move on into the year 2024, we see where we are missing it out, or if we are getting it right. So members, don't miss out on any of the sessions coming next year. So just a recap, we've learned about financial wellness. How is your social, economic, and environmental wellness? Are you planning earlier or waiting for the emergency to strike? Why it is important that we have financial wellness? How do you manage your finances? So all that will be available on our YouTube. So after this, we'll be able to share this tomorrow, the link tomorrow. You can watch it on our YouTube, or you can go directly back to our YouTube. You'll be able to watch the session from there. So before we close up, we have about 10 minutes left. I'll give Alex about 5 minutes. I'll read out the questions for you, Alex, then you can answer. Then just a few minutes, then we close up. So the first question. Thank you, Anne, for joining us from South Korea. Karibu sana. Now, what happens when you are not financially compatible with your partner? Do you combine finances or go at it alone? Over to you, Alex.
Right. Good question. Very common. In fact, that's the beginning of wellness. One is, are the goals very clear? Because, when you put goals together, then you agree who manages which goals. There are various money characteristics, just as there are individual characteristics. People who are choleric, that means very aggressive. I want to achieve the goals yesterday. There are guys who are melancholic, very particular. I want to achieve it when it plans, in the way I plan. And, there are people who are obviously what we call sanguine. I have no plan. In fact, why do we need a plan? And then there are people who are phlegmatic. That means I take my time to think about money. In fact, when you talk about money, I feel insecure because I have not thought about it. Who is your partner? Do they lie in that category? In fact, everybody tends to lie within one of those 4 categories. So you might find incompatibility because you're a male. That means very precise. The other person is sanguine or choleric, but they don't know. In fact, there is what we call heuristic and biases. People who they've never known they are a problem. In fact, because the evolution process of how they grew up to be who they are up to now did not involve them knowing that there are people who do things in a different way. They thought, watching their father, their mother, things are done this way, and they think automatically that is the way things go. So it would be good to know yourself, but to control those issues, that's why we say have a plan. If we say rent is this much, this is this much, and it needs to be paid at this point, if you know the greatest risk is rent, give it to the person whose characteristic is most controlled, the phlegmatic. I will not spend until we pay rent. So we normally sit to understand who in the family has this characteristic and should be given which tasks. So money does 3 things, which is essentially contingency, management, operational or house budget, and growth planning. So it's good to understand who is good at what, and therefore, just allocate roles. So it is important to understand that we may not split people because God has put them together, but we may split roles by having a plan and who is executing which part of the plan. And so that you can see what you care about most is being taken care of. Maybe it's emergencies and operational expenditure. I don't want to show up with funny looking hair. So can I manage the budget, which takes care of this, or fuel, or I don't know, travel. I want to make sure we travel. So those things should be budgeted for, detailed, but more importantly, the roles should be given to the person whose character most likely fits the structure of that. So we are able to have a detailed action plan so that we are able to review who and what should be done. And those kind of things help a lot of couples when they have a proper guiding document to help them plan, their finances and how they make decisions. So that is what I would say. I've seen many people come to us, in fact, short of going into divorce, but when we sit and detail what actually did we need to talk about, they wonder what was the problem actually. So there's an opportunity to bring you on the table, but again, if it must be separate, be very clear who is doing what in a proper plan.
All right.
I hope yeah.
That is well tackled. On to the next one. On retirement security, is it safe to retain NSSF, or one can move funds to another firm?
Yeah, so NSSF is the National Social Security Fund. It's, just the other day we were given the opportunity to opt out into, a different scheme. So you could do that, especially if you figure, we have always had some challenges pressing NSSF for how they are performing. So you could opt out. We've been given the option to do that. In the retirement planning session, this will be tackled in great detail as to what opt-out options you have. And you can look at, can I do voluntary contributions? Just how do I make sure I have optimized the options available? That can happen. But it is safe to retain NSSF, but then you need to just compare it and its performance, because it's your money, over time against other opportunities. That will tell you whether you need to make that decision. But you've been given an opt-out option. And there's a process where you take to, your HR team, they will send it to RBA, get approved. There's a process there, it's something that can be tackled and it's possible. But on the basis of obviously you looking at wherever else you want to move, what has been the performance over the period compared to where you are? That should be the basis of that decision. But you could opt to another one, as we have been allowed by the government recently. But NSSF itself as a fund is, it's really grown over the last few years, but there's the option now to opt out.
Great. I'll answer this one. Should one increase their deposits or shares? So this is in regards to the SACCO. So on deposits, it depends on what is your financial goal. If you are expecting to take up the credit facilities that we have, we can advise you to increase your deposits, because that is what we look at when it comes to borrowing. And if you're looking at long-term investment, shares is also good. So you can do both, or lean on one side if you are having maybe objectives of taking up credit credit facilities that we have in future. So the next one is, can you share the presentation? We will share the link for this session, so you'll be able to go through the presentation once you get the link tomorrow, or go to our YouTube, you'll be able to view the session from there. Will our savings today be of good return in future due to deterioration of money value in each passing day? Over to you, Alex. Will our savings today be of good return in future due to deterioration of money value in each passing day?
Yeah, right, Paul. That's a great reflection. So you're talking of various things there. You're talking of inflation and depreciation of currency. Those are two major concerns currently. And obviously, to address that, you need to make sure that your investment, you're talking of savings, so we need to distinguish between savings and investment. You need to make sure where you have saved your money, and therefore you need to invest your money wisely. You are growing at a rate which is faster than the inflation rate.
Alex, we've lost you.
Faster. All right. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
We need to make sure that your investment is growing at a rate faster than the inflation rate. So right now you need to be growing at least faster than, in double digit, above your 12%. So you need to make sure wherever you are saving your money, you're getting a good return, so that you're not going to find that your money, which could afford you a loaf of bread today, is only affording half a loaf of bread within 1 year. So you need to make sure your investment growth is keeping up or ahead of inflation. And indeed, at one point when we're planning to take our child to school, the currency against maybe the US dollar, or our Kenyan currency against the US dollar, or against the pound or euro, we have depreciated about 25%. That means I need to add 25% more than I had budgeted for to pay for education or anything which is in hard currency. That is painful. So what we need to do is make sure that we have investments in hard currency as well. The return is inflation and currency adjusted, so that whatever happens in the market, you are adjusting to that. And that is why you need a very sharp response to what is happening in the market. You need to be current. That to come for webinars like this. We'll be happy. What kind of construction should I have in my portfolio to protect against inflation? There is a generally accepted strategy on how you protect yourself against inflation. and currency adjustment. There are ratios that you are given so that your portfolio is able to adjust to those factors. So we will give you ideas so that you are able to protect yourself. But what you do is obviously up to you, but we'll give you the expert side of what you should do. And hopefully if we are working together, the opportunity has been given, you'll be able to understand what needs to be done. Yeah.
Okay, so we have, let me just go through the chat session. We have a few questions from there. We can tackle two of them, then we can end the session at around 5:10, 5:05 there. So another question, with the volatility of the Kenyan shilling, are our savings going to be worth it in the near future, or will we end up like Zimbabwe?
Well, now maybe not go as far as Zimbabwe, but so you know the the reality that for a long time Kenya has been protected against currency depreciation at a high rate by the central bank, was helping to manage that, because also the country is affected when the currency increases or rather depreciates. Because we have to pay more as a country. So at one point we owed maybe 300 billion for the SGR. We end up owing maybe 500 billion because we owe it in US dollar. So just that itself makes us lose value significantly. So however, the rate at which that changes has been very high in the last 1 year. But that happened because in 2021, the government was asked by the IMF not to manage the currency anymore. They have to allow it to be free and floating. Now, the question is, what are we exporting that is attracting dollars into our economy so that we can reduce demand for dollar because we have enough locally? We have not gotten to that point. We have a few challenges in the cost of electricity, and we are heavy importers. So we demand more dollar than we are receiving. So we will have a bit of pressure. It's good to think about making some holdings in foreign currency, and that's why we're discussing about just holding some foreign currency holdings in your portfolio. But also importantly, to ensure that we get to produce locally so that we manage our demand for foreign currency. Otherwise, we'll keep pushing it up. Maybe not at the rate of Zimbabwe, but if you look at fuel, it tends to dictate where the price of dollar would really be. So we are facing a bit of pressure, and it may be sustained for a while, but it may not depreciate, maybe related to the same or a different question.
Okay, I think we are done. Most of the questions have been answered by your team members at the chat session. Okay, just a few ones that now relates to us directly. Someone is asking, what are the things I should consider before applying for a loan? So one, you should consider the type of loan. Is it a long-term or a short-term? Number two, the interest rate. Number three, the repayment period. And number four, is your income enough or sufficient enough to repay the loan? Then number five, when we give you ×3 or ×4 your deposits, do you have enough deposits? Those are the kind of things you should consider. You must also consider security, can either be guarantors or collateral. Another question, what is the limit for the share? Currently, the minimum is 40,000 for the share capital. The minimum monthly deposit is 3,000. How do we contact you? Contacts have been given here, info@morancapital.co.ke, as you can contact us at Safaricom sacco@safaricom.co.ke. Do you have accounts that you save in the form of pounds? Currently, we are doing it in Kenya shillings. Yes, you contact. Okay, our phone number has also been given. Thank you for the informative session. Thank you very much for the feedback. Okay, another question for you. I think this should be the last one, Alex. What's your advice on real housing investments, e.g. rentals? What is your advice? So members, this is the last question that Alex is tackling. Then we can close it.
Okay. So real estate obviously is one of those areas that you are well advised to have a part of that in your portfolio, especially when you are younger or middle-aged, stabilizing your income. So the exposure to real estate, there are structures within or how much you should have. When you're younger, really you should have a lot of it, as much as you can. But the issue is, what is the return on your investment? So when you look at the rentals that you are receiving, maybe you've invested 10 billion, 20, 100 million. So when you calculate your net yield at the end of the year, is it comparative to, say, a lower risk investment, such as maybe an investment in the SACCO, an investment in government securities, an investment in any other opportunity which is passive, because real estate is a passive income. So you want to compare the return on rent to any other opportunity, and especially that which is considered the lower risk, which is maybe a government security, like a treasury bond, a treasury bill, most likely a treasury bond, because treasury bonds can go all the way to 24 years. So kind of the same duration. But you want to ask yourself, why am I investing in that rental? So that you can tell, am I looking for liquidity, capital gain? Where does it fit in my portfolio, so that I can tell, should I have it, and should I have it now, in the future? How do I acquire it? Those are important considerations to make, so that you can, should I be in a standalone? Should I be in a REIT, which is a real estate investment trust? How do I get into real estate? Should I be in industrial parks? Should I be in retail housing or commercial properties? All these are opportunities in real estate. And we have a real estate unit that can, also help you in the advisory side, so that even as you're obviously getting the opportunity with the SACCO, you are able to tell, okay, when I need the resources of the opportunity, where does it fall in my strategy? So first, start from strategy, going towards action, which assets and how do I buy them and how do I fund. The point is the strategy of where does it fit in. Then it can tell you just how much and how do I acquire it, so that I'm sure if it's a long-term objective, I can, do a mortgage and that kind of thing. Your funding strategy should also be driven by the objective of the asset. If it's commercial, will it meet through the rental the repayment I am making to the SACCO? So there are a lot of things we test to see that it's a real investment. And real estate is a good investment, as long as you're clear where it fits in your portfolio and what the acquisition strategy is.
All right. Thank you, Alex, for taking us through such a very informative session. A lot of learning that we've done today, and we shall still do it in future. Thank you, members, for honoring the call. Most of your questions have been answered through the Q&A and chat session. Contacts have been given in case you want to contact Moran directly. They've given their phone number, they've given their email address. You are free to contact them. And thank you very much once again for honoring the call this wonderful afternoon or evening, depending on where you're where you joined the call from. Thank you. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Right. Good afternoon. Good evening. Kwaheri.